Doug Lamb, old Scott, how's it going, guys? You got people blowing my phone up asking questions and don't know if I'm coming or going. How's everybody doing out there tonight? Dennis, glad to have you on here, bud. Get a few people on here. I'm going to fire this thing up tonight. We kind of talked about two different things since last Tuesday's show, or a week ago, Tuesday's show got canceled. We kind of go over both of them here. A little bit of barricade talk, and then we'll talk about this time, this week's schedule here. Should be a pretty decent show tonight. A lot of different information. Get these people to quit blowing my phone up. Scott, that's all it has done is rain, bud. Man, here in Illinois where I'm at, it will not stop raining. It will for a day and then fire right back up. I know we're going to be complaining here about August for a drought. I just guarantee it. But I'd almost take one right now. Doug, didn't you just order that barricade on Friday, bud? I seen your email today. Yeah, Scott, it's just been crazy. Yeah, my clover fields are exploding too. I can't get them mowed. That's the bad thing. It's so wet. I can't get them mowed, and they need mowed bad. I've usually mowed a dozen times by now, and I've mowed once. Oh, Hunter, good to see you on here, bud. Yeah, that's the bad thing, Scott, especially like you're talking about your wheat field. The weeds, this rain, these weeds just thrive in it. They're just growing crazy. Just like the yard. I can't even keep up on the yard. Dennis, absolutely. The rest and sleigh works great. I'll jump in on it here in a minute, but I will tell you this, Dennis. Uh, I'm trying to remember. I think the rest product, I think that's grass control. I can't remember if that's grass or in the sleigh's broadleaf. I can't remember. But with them two products, you can buy the same chemical at your farm store, a 2.5 gallon jug for about $30 for one and 70 for the other. So if you ever get out to where you're wanting to get a little bit more and have some more on hand and save some money, the clethodim is actually what your grass control is, and 2,4-DB is what your broadleaf control is. And again, you can buy it a lot cheaper. So just letting you know that. But no, the rest in the sleigh works great on it. Jeffrey, yeah, raining daily. Hey, isn't it crazy? I just can't get over the rain we have been having. Mark Coleman, good to see you on here, bud. Scott, when you're talking about grasses, if you got grasses coming up in that wheat field, you're going to want to watch what you do, because you could actually kill the grasses out of it. Even with some weed herbicides, you'd really have to watch what you're doing there uh, in your wheat field. I don't know, man. I think I would just mow that thing down and bell it, however, whatever you're doing. I don't know if you're combining it for wheat, if you're belling it. I don't know what you're doing there, but I would watch spraying very much on that, especially right now with it probably getting close to being all matured out. Yeah, these are the, finally got these new hats in, bud. Finally got them in stock. They were similar to our old ones, but a lot better quality. I like the material a lot better. They fit a lot better. I don't know what the dog's doing upstairs, but it seems like he's chasing something. Well, let's fire this thing up and get it going. I apologize. 2 weeks ago, we had some issues, and we were gonna redo it on Thursday. More issues came up, so I finally just told them, hold off. Let's just kind of touch bases on both of them, since both of them are kind of a quicker topic. We can do both of them in one show: the barricade and then the weed and grass control, and still give us plenty of time for some Q&A. So, starting with the barricade needs to be in the ground, especially in the Midwest. It needs to be getting in there pretty quick. You can get it planted up there in the July time, stuff like that. You're going to have to probably worry about a drought. Where if it's already planted, for the ones of you that haven't planted, we've had plenty of moisture. One thing I have noticed with the barricade right now is, with the amount of rain that we have had, you're going to see a lot of weeds and grasses come up in it. Don't be like me and worry about them weeds and grasses. It's just going to help thicken that up. The lower part of that barricade is going to thicken it up. We're not growing it for food. We're growing it for a shield and a bedding type area. After that barricade starts coming up, it gets that third petal on it. It's going to grow like wildfire. You'll still have the real thickness of the weeds and grasses underneath. But again, it's actually a benefit. So don't be like me and worry about it. And I've told myself for the last 2 years not to worry about it, because it is very touchy spraying anything on sorghum unless it's at a certain stage of its life. And it seems like when that weeds and grasses, when we're wanting to kill them, the sorghum plants aren't in that stage of life yet, and you can kill the plants or stun them really bad. So don't worry about the weeds and grasses. You're pouring the nitrogen to that barricade. In doing that, you're going to feed the weeds and grasses too. So that's why they kind of get a little overrun sometime with them. But the barricade come right up through it. The sorghum plants are going to outgrow it. You're just going to have a nice big thick lower garment of that barricade. But for the ones that haven't planted it yet, or looking forward to planting it the next year, or whatever they're wanting to do, kind of touch bases a little bit about how this is, how you need to plant it. With the barricade, you're looking at a seed, even though it tells you can get it and it will grow at 3/4 inch deep. I don't like doing that. I would rather broadcast it on, call the packet in. But try not to get it any more than a 1/2 inch deep. But when you are planting this barricade, make sure that you do make you a nice seed bed. Call the pack or tire roll the whole area. Pack that soil good and firm. Then broadcast the seed and then pack it again. That's the way I like doing it. I don't like dragging over the barricade with loose dirt. You can cover it up way too quick. Lose a lot of germination that way. Softer soil, the rain can beat it in too deep. So always seed it just like you would if you're planting clover, the honey hole, any of our mixes, any seed you're planting. Make sure you plant it on a firm seed bed and call the packet in, or roll it in, or tire track it in with your ATV, whatever you got. That's going to give you the best germination results. Barricade, it loves nitrogen. I prefer using 19. You can use urea on it. Just make sure you're getting plenty of moisture so you don't burn the plant. Where 19, you don't have to worry as much, but still make sure you're getting plenty of moisture. Anytime you put nitrogen on, you want to make sure it has plenty of moisture so you don't burn a plant. So RC Hunter's here. He's asking about Pennsylvania. Buddy, I'd try to get it in as soon as you can, the barricade. I wouldn't. You can wait till the 1st of July, but I got a feeling you're going to get into a drought type situation just like we are. We always do. But I'd get it in as soon as possible. And anybody out there, no matter where you're at, I would definitely try to get in ASAP. It's best to plant the barricade as soon as that ground temp hits 60 degrees. But I know a lot of times we can't do that, especially this year with all the moisture. It was hard to get in and work any ground, do anything with it. But try to get it planted as soon as you can. Hey, Kevin, good to see you on here, bud. Hope you're doing well. One thing I will show, and I actually got a few little deals here. Let's pop this up real quick. I get asked all the time, does it actually grow tall? Does it winter? I mean, everything you can think of. I don't know what picture this is. I think this is one of the barricade spots. Oh, there we go. Packer Max Color Packer, my way to go, my favorite thing to use when it comes to all my food plots, especially barricade. But you kind of start off with this. Then you kind of run into something like this. You get the height out of it, pouring the nitrogen to it. Then you kind of got trophy clover on this side. You got the barricade shielding the road. And then you go into this picture here, you're looking at a barricade plot April the next year. You can see the clover is greening up. Yes, it's not 8 foot tall right now, but it's 6 and 7 foot tall and still shielding the road. So a lot of people say, well, you plant sorghum, it's just going to lay over with the snow. This here is actually Central Illinois, straight line winds through the winter, heavy snow, and you can see how good it held up. So these big stock sorghum plants will hold up to Mother Nature, giving it all the abuse it can. Now, we talk about tornadoes, hurricanes, stuff like that, and whatever we got. That's a different story. But just normal wear and tear of Mother Nature in the winter, it will withstand and it will take care of what you got. Now, with this strip here is about 15 foot wide. I would go, if you're in an area you're not going to get a lot of straight line winds, you can shield with 6 foot. I recommend 8 foot. I like the 8 foot strip. I like an 8 foot strip even in a real windy area. But if I'm going to get in an area like this one here is running east and west. So it's going to get a lot of north straight line winds in the wintertime. So it just thicken it up, go a little wider. I will tell you this, going wider, you will benefit. Putting down more seed than recommended, you will not benefit. It will actually be worse on you. So you want to plant it at the right recommended rate. You just want to go wider to make a healthier stand of barricade. Don't put too much seed in the area. They're going to starve them plants from nutrition. They're just going to wilt over. Half of them die off. They'll stun them. You'll never get the full growth out of them. And if you put the proper amount of fertilizer, like we say on the bag, you will get 8 foot out of that, no problem at all. If you're like me, I take our Jolt product, the Jolt that we got, and I'll take this Jolt right here, and you've heard me say it a million times, I have a boomless sprayer that I put on back of my ATV that is just for Jolt. And with that boomless sprayer, I can turn the nozzle sideways, a single nozzle sideways, and it will blow a fan out sideways. I'll drive back and forth on both sides of my barricade and just let that Jolt fertilizer just fan out across that, and it blow it up over top of it, and it just rains down on it. And this last year, even with the drought type situation we had, I had barricade that was over 14 foot tall. So if you pour the nutrients to it, it'll just keep growing taller and taller and taller. But it is a great product for shielding an area, making a bedding area. Now, I will say with making a bedding area, if you got an area, let's just say, let's go with 1/4 acre. You got a 1/4 acre and you want to plant this barricade for a bedding type area. What I like to do is I will always make several entrance and exits out of the barricade for the deer. So I'll take like my 2 foot wide DR brush mower, my walk behind. I'll mow me a path in it. I'll mow a path around, make me a few circles here and there inside the barricade but I always make an entrance and exit out of it so the deer don't feel like they're confined in there. They have a way to get in, a way to get out for danger. I've had that work so much better. Or you can just get in and just stomp on the barricade, break it over, lay it down, and then they'll finally do what they want to do with it. But always give them an entrance and exit into it. Just planting the barricade as thick as it gets, the deer don't like to go through it. As a lot of you, if you've used it on shielding areas, a deer won't go through it. So you got to make it so they will go through it. So always make an entrance and exit and make multiple ones of it. So let them feel safe when they get in there. All right, what kind of questions we got on barricade here, guys? Look here and see what I can see here. Dennis, yes, that was 2,4-DB. 2,4-D as in dog, B as in boy. That is the weed herbicide. And then you got your clethodim. That is actually for your grass herbicide. I'll actually have some pictures up here just shortly of them here, bud. Scott, if you're growing it for the deer like that, I'd just get in there and mow it. I wouldn't mow it real low, but I'd get in there and mow that field. Especially since you're just doing it for the animals. Just going through some questions here, guys. Let's make sure they're not something here that you needed. Hunter, I hope you understand there. Just get that barricade in as soon as you can. You got some time, bud, but just get in as soon as you can. Jeff Johnson, good to see you on here. Dennis, on the broadcast spreader, what I like doing, since all different spreaders are different, I have 3 different broadcast spreaders, and they all the numbers on them, they all are different lists when you open them up. So what I try to tell everybody when it comes to spreading this seed or any seed, set that spreader to where the seed will just trickle out onto your turntable. You don't want it pouring out. You just want it trickling out to where, oops, there you go. So when you're actually walking with it and turning it, you can see it fanning out and just make a good steady walk. Rule of thumb, I've said it for years, if you don't think you're putting enough on, you're putting 3 times too much on already. With the color of this seed, you can see it very well on the ground. So you can see how it is actually laying out. But set that seeder to where it will just trickle out, nice, slow, steady turn, good, steady walk, and just so where you can kind of see it fanning out. My favorite thing is on like my solo seeder and stuff like that, I can hold the trigger on the side where that opens a chute back and forth, because sometimes on some of them, like I need to go between 1 and 2. 1's not enough, 2's too much for me. So I'll put it in the middle and I'll hold on to it. And while I'm holding on to it, I stick my finger out and I can feel that seed hitting my finger as I'm going. And I just want to feel it trickling on my finger. And I know that's about perfect. So, but just set it at the lowest rate that you can. That will let it just trickle out onto that turntable and you'll be good to go. Jeff, up in your area, you are getting kind of late. I would say you have till mid-June or so to get full growth out of it. Anytime after that, bud, you're probably going to be, actually, you might not even get full growth out of mid-June up there in Wisconsin. You'll need to, if you're getting plenty moisture after you get in the ground, I'd definitely pour the nitrogen to it, bud. Jason, good to see you on here, bud. Randy, that is one picture I don't have on here. Randy's asking, what does barricade look like when it first comes up? You would swear it's a corn plant coming up. You just have the little stem, the 2 little leaves. It looks like a corn plant, and it'll look like that till it about gets that 3rd petal on it, and then it'll start growing like wildfire. But it looks just like a little corn plant coming up. Julie Scott says she learned a valuable lesson. I went thin and heavy seeding rather than wide and light seeding. Yep, it's always better to go wide and a light seeding. Mark saying, oh, where did this go, Mark? Where you at? Oh, Mark saying 2,4 DB is better than 2,4-D. Question: 2,4-D and 2,4-DB are two complete things. 2,4-D is a broadleaf herbicide, and 2,4-DB is a selective herbicide that will kill broadleafs out of legume plants, which is your alfalfas, clovers, your soybeans, your peas, stuff like that. If you spray 2,4-D on them, you will kill everything I just mentioned. So the 2,4-DB is a select herbicide. Jason asking if you can mix those sprays together. You can, but you will stun the plant more than what you want. I always spray mine 7 days apart. Minimum 7 days apart. Don't have to be 7, but minimum 7 days apart. With them being a select herbicide, you're looking at, you're still going to stun the plant that you're not wanting to kill, like the clover, the alfalfa, the soybeans, the peas. You're still going to stun them for a little bit. That's why if anybody's ever sprayed it, especially on clover, and especially if you mix it a little hot because you got big, heavy growth that you're trying to kill, you'll see some whitening or yellowing on the leaves, maybe some curling on the leaves, and about a week or two later, it's a big, beautiful plot again. That is because even though it's a select herbicide, it is stunning them. So when you go and put a double whammy on them with a weed and grass herbicide, that's where, with the clethodim and the 2,4-D mixed together, you just stress them way too much. And I just don't like to do that. Now, if you're wanting a mix, you can spray IMOX on them. IMOX will kill the grass and the weeds out of it, but IMOX is very, very expensive. So me, myself, being the cheap guy I am, I like using the two cheaper chemicals. I love being out there anyway, so I just do two different sprayings. Mark's asking if Barricade has a nutritional value for deer. Absolutely does. The deer love it, but they love it when the heads dry up, and you'll see it too. When them plants mature out and they start going from the green to the brown, you'll see the heads dry up on them, the seed heads, and they'll fold over and lay down. That's what you'll see, fold over and lay down. The deer will rear up on their back feet to eat them. They love them. But as I'm growing, they will not touch them. Jeff, you're talking about your grandma's told you 2 weeks ago it was almost too late to spray 2,4-D. Any truth to that? Yes, there is a lot of truth to that, to depend on what you're spraying it on. Your clovers, your alfalfas, all that stuff like that, you can spray away. On legume plants, there is no time period on legumes. Now, if you're spraying it on other grains, especially harvest type grains, yes, there's a little bit of difference there. Especially food-related type products for human consumption. But when it comes to, I spray 2,4-DB all the way up till 2 weeks before the deer season opens up in October 1st, and just to kill what weeds and grasses that are weeds that are in there. So, but no, if you read a lot on this, the clethodim, they'll tell you certain times you can spray it, certain times you shouldn't spray it. Same with 2,4-DB, Roundup, glyphosate. I mean, anything you spray, there's always different things there. But we got to think we're working in the food plot industry. We're not working in food grade, nothing like that. It's not going to hurt the deer. It's not going to hurt the plants, except the ones that you want to hurt. But in the hunting industry part of it, don't worry about it one bit. You can spray it away. As long as it's in the growing state, you're going to benefit. If the weeds and grasses, whichever one you're trying to kill, is not in the growing state, then no, it's not going to do anything to them. Does Barricade deplete the nitrogen pit in the soil like corn? Absolutely. Any plant that thrives on nitrogen is going to deplete the nitrogen out of the soil because it's just going to keep sucking it up while it's in its growing state. So that's why if you look at clovers, alfalfa, peas, stuff like that, that doesn't need nitrogen, that they thrive on potash, that you'll notice that you don't get that depletion. Another good thing about the clovers are, which we talk about all the time, the legume plants, most of them, they're actually going to be feeding the soil with nitrogen as well. So that's why it actually benefits the soil. But anything that needs to, you're looking at anything up here except for that bag right there, all of them are going to be a part of depleting the soil, sucking the nitrogen out. That's why, again, brassicas, you always want to do your rotation every 2 to 3 years, no more than 3 years, because it's just sucking that soil dry. So, but yes, it will. Good deal, Randy. Yeah. I'll tell you what, the turkeys will pick them dry. You got to watch it. Turkeys will steal every seed you got. But if you're seeing some of them corn-like plants in there, that's what you got there, bud. Yes, Jason, 7 days apart between spraying clethodim, or let's just say between spraying a grass killer and a weed broadleaf killer. I always go a minimum of 7 days, and I have no issue with that at all. All right, since a lot of these questions are due to chemicals, let's just jump up on some chemicals here. You know, when you're looking for herbicides for clovers, like we just discussed here quite a bit here lately, again, there's 2 different chemicals from what you guys using, like the legume plants, your clovers, your alfalfas, your soybeans, your peas. You know, we're looking at, and just for you guys, if you guys just want to see them, we're looking at, excuse me, let me find it here. Well, I said I had them on here. Where'd they go? Huh. Well, oh, there we go. A little slow here today. All right, your boot rack 200. That's your 2,4-DB. That is the most common one you're going to find. About 30. What do I pay? I think I pay $34 a gallon for it. I buy it in a two and a half gallon jug for about $69.99. That 2.5 gallon jug will last me about 5 years with all my clover plots. Now, when it comes to the grass control, you're looking at the clethodim 2E. That gallon jug there, yes, it's gonna jump you up there about $70, anywhere from 55 to 70, depends on where you buy it, for a gallon jug of it. But on clethodim, you're looking at a product that you're only mixing a 1/2 ounce per gallon and no more than 16 ounces per acre. So that 1 gallon jug will last you for a very, very long time. So a lot of people will mix them hot, and that's the worst thing you can do with a selective herbicide. You know, the clethodim, if you got real heavy, hot, tall grass that you're trying to kill, I always tell people you can mix it up to 1.5 ounces per gallon as long as you don't go over 16 ounces per gallon. But what I like to do is I like to go in there, cut my plot. I'll go ahead and mow my clover or my alfalfa. I will cut it. I'll let it go for about a week. And then I will go in there and spray it with a clethodim. So you're not trying to get these great big plants killed off. You're just killing off what you got left standing after mowing. And you don't have to use as much. I drop right back down to that 1/2 ounce per gallon, no more than 16 ounces an acre. And it works just fine. I always put a surfactant in with it. Me being the guy I am, I will run Dawn dish detergent with it. But to get a good kill off, I mean, when I want a good kill off, I am going to use this Dextral right here, and I'll use it in both of them. The AMS Supreme, and it also helps put sulfur in the ground. The AMS Supreme is actually, it's more of a how do I want to say it? Gasoline to the fire, pretty much. It'll help it stick to the plant better. It'll help the plant absorb it in better. So you get a lot better total kill off on the weeds and grasses you're trying to kill with whatever chemical you're using. So very cheap product, 2.5 gallon jug for about 23 bucks. The best thing I've ever found when it comes to killing off a plot, a total kill off, even with glyphosate or Liberty, which I use Liberty on all my total kill offs to kill everything to build a new plot. I'll put this AMS Supreme in there. I'm running about 2 quarts per acre, and it will literally fry everything that's standing. So with the clethodim, it'll really get into that grass. It'll let that grass suck that stuff in, and you'll get a lot better kill off and a lot quicker, because clethodim is actually a slow working process. You can spray cleth on a plot, especially in taller grass, come back 2 weeks later and you don't think you did anything, and you come back another day and a half, and next thing you know, everything's yellow. This will help speed that up and give you a lot better kill off. I use this in every chemical I use. Now with that, if I'm spraying an existing plot, let's say I got an acre plot, I need to kill some grass out of an acre's worth of clover. I'm going to run about a 1/2 ounce per gallon of clethodim at about 11 gallons of water. That's how my sprayers are all calibrated, 11 gallons per acre. I'm going to run a 1/2 ounce per gallon. I'm going to mix in the clover fuel, 132 ounce bottle. I'm going to mix in a quart of Dawn dish detergent or any surfactant you're using, bean oil, anything. And then I'm going to mix in 2 of the AMS Supremes, 2 quarts. And it's night and day difference on how good of a kill off you can. And that clover fuel is going to help that clover, even if it gets stunned a little bit from the chemical, it's going to help it bounce back quicker, outgrow them weeds. It just works perfect. I do the exact same thing with the 2,4-DB, except for the 2,4-DB. I guess I was talking about an acre plot. I was thinking 1/2 acre. So the 1 acre plot, I'm going to use the clover fuel. 2,4-DB, I'm looking at, I usually run about 1.5 ounces per gallon of water on a normal, this 6-inch tall weeds or something coming up. Now, if they are taller and I don't mow it first, you can mix that 2,4-DB up to about 3 ounces per gallon. That's a pretty hot shot to it, but it will kill them. Again, when them weeds usually get that tall, I want to keep the chemical down. So I'll go in there and mow it first, give it a few days. I like giving it about a week, 7 days, somewhere in there, then go back and spray it. I don't like spraying it over them vulnerable little clover plants that you just cut. So let them heal up and then go back and spray about 7 days later. So, which works good. Now, with me, if I'm going to go in and spray an area, let's say grass control. Let's say I just got some grass coming into my clover, 6 inches tall or so, nothing real big, starting to get up over top the clover. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in there, and the clover is actually already flowered out. It needs to be mowed because it's mature. So I need to top that clover anyway. What I will do then, with that light grass control, I'll go in with my clethodim. I will spray my clethodim. I'll do the same thing to weed killer too if it needs weed killer and not grass. I'll go in and spray them. Then I will wait a week. Always wait about a minimum of 7 days, and then I will go in and mow them. In that meantime, that's already sucked all that chemical into the root system. The plants are already starting to die. And then when I mow it, it's just gone. And then you have a beautiful plot again. Now, if it's real tall, you always want to cut first, wait, and then spray. But if you just got light control, I love spraying prior to a mowing, a week prior to a mowing. So when you cut that root system's already filled up with a herbicide, you can cut it, whatever's left in there, below your mower height that you just cut, it's just going to dissolve into the ground. So this gives a lot of organic matter and works very well. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it. I know I'm rambling on about 100 different things, but you just never know what you're going to get into. Like right now with the weather, and we were talking about it earlier on here, on how wet it is and how wet this spring and this coming to summer has been. The clovers are going crazy. They're thriving in this rain. So is the weeds and grasses. and we can't get in there to take care of them because you're going to tear the plots up because everything's just wet. So you just never know. So it's kind of nice to have a couple different options there that you can do and on how you can do it. So when you are faced with that, you know how to take care of it. See what we got here. Any kind of chats here. And yes, Jason, as I was saying, yes, I always mix clover fuel in with them. Jeff's asking if there's a certain time of day. Actually, he's asking for Liberty. That is better, which is my total kill-off product that I use. I quit using Roundup or glyphosate. I just go straight with Liberty to get a better kill-off. I like spraying. I want a good early. I want it to be warm, and I want it to be. I love a dew on the ground, so I'm looking at that early morning, late evening. I hate spraying in the dead of the day, middle of the day, with the sun beating down on it. I like that plant being able to absorb it right on in, and I love the dew on it. It just seems to help out a lot. So if I'm spraying Liberty, if I'm spraying glyphosate, a generic glyphosate, or if I'm spraying Roundup, Clethodim, 2,4-D, the clover fuel, the Jolt, I like doing it early morning, late evening. Now, I don't want to do it early morning if it's 25 degrees out, and we should be spraying anyway. But I like to have a good 60 degree plus morning when I spray anything. I want some heat there. So, and it don't matter if it's 80 degrees at 8 o'clock in the morning with the dew on. It doesn't matter. It's still good to do there. Now, you get up in that 90 degree weather, stuff like that, kind of stay away from spraying anything unless you're wanting to do a total kill off. But your selective herbicides, kind of stay away from them. The fertilizers, kind of stay away after you get up that 90 degrees or warmer. But usually early morning, late evening, it's not that hot, and you can spray them better. Spray them then, and you get a lot better results out of it. Jason, you're right. It is crazy on how everything's growing. It is nuts. Now let's talk about one other thing here. Let's get away from the legume plants. Let's get into our annuals. You look at the grade 8, Southern Greens, Lights Out, Slam Dunk, Honey Hole, mixes like this. You take your Slam Dunk, you take your Honey Hole. Grade 8, you can. It does have a variety of rye in it that you will kill. The Southern Greens, the Lights Out, you can take these mixes and you can spray Clethodim on them on your annual plots to kill grasses out of them. Really, there's no need to kill grasses out of them unless it's a grass starting to come up when the plants are young and you don't want them weeds and grasses shading them out, because a full-blown brassica plot is usually going to outgrow the weeds and grasses anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But if you have an issue with grasses, you can spray Clethodim on them mixes, just like you do the clover. But you just add the Jolt fertilizer to it instead of the clover fuel, and it really helped give them plants a kickstart. But you do not ever want to spray the 2,4-DB on any of the annual mixes. Any broadleaf killer you spray on the annual mixes, you are going to kill it out. You're going to kill the mix. But the grass control, you can spray the Clethodim on a lot of them. Again, like the grade 8, it has a variety of rye in there, which I really like, because it offers about 28% protein. If you're not worried about that rye in there, and all you want is the other 7 plants that are in there, 7 different varieties, you can spray that grade 8 with it, and it will it'll just kill the rye, but it will not kill anything else. Hey, I'm glad you said that, Jeff. I'm sitting here rambling on. I didn't realize that picture was still on there. Thanks, bud. That's what I got you pro staffers for. You keep me in line. I like that. I need that all I can get. Mark's asking, what is the best to kill off raspberry plants in a plot? Probably a skid steer with a tooth bucket on it. Roundup makes a they make a poison ivy killer, and they also make a multiflora rose killer. Anything that will kill multiflora rose will kill the raspberry plants. The Liberty, truthfully, I don't know. I've never sprayed it on multiflora rose or any raspberry plants. So I don't know if that chemical will or not. I could look into it for you, bud, but I'm not for sure off the top of my head on that plant. But I do know Roundup makes a couple different products that will kill it. A lot of times with raspberries or multiflora rose, it takes more than one application to kill them out good. You usually stun them, and then they want to start growing again. As soon as you start seeing them green back up, you want to hit them again, and usually it will kill it. I know I've dealt with that on one of my farms many years ago, that it actually took 3 applications of the multiflora rose killer, but then when that third one, they were dead and never showed back up. And this old barn lot was full of them. You couldn't walk through it. So I definitely look into something like that. Jeff, I hear you. I know that picture had to be a lot prettier than me to look at. I guarantee that. Oh, Dennis, you're asking how much clethodim per quarter acre clover field? It's really going to determine on how much water it takes you to spray that clover field. With that, you're probably looking about, it shouldn't take any more than about 3 gallons of water to spray it. But it just depends on how the sprayer is calibrated. And I don't know if you're talking about a backpack sprayer or a pull behind or one you put on an ATV. But most sprayers out there are not calibrated from the factory, just like your ATV sprayers. They're pumping out with these flood tips on them. They're pumping 20, 25 gallons of water per acre, which makes it tough. When actually, rule of thumb is 11 gallons per acre of water. So it's really just going to depend on how much water that it's going to take you to do that quarter acre. And then you can just multiply it by your half ounce of clethodim per however many gallons it's going to take. Now, so you got to pull behind. So yeah, it's not knowing what that's calibrated at, bud. I don't know. You're just going to have to do trial and error and figure out how much water it's going to take. Oh, Anthony's on here. Good to see you, bud. Good to hear from you the other day. Anthony's want me to touch bases on how soon you can spray newly planted clover. And this is something him and I just talked about the other day. When it comes to a new clover plot, alfalfa plot, anything like that, soybeans, peas, anything, when it comes to spraying grasses or weeds out of them, I like letting them plants get up to 3 inches tall or taller. I don't like spraying over a small, vulnerable little plant that is coming up, because they are just so vulnerable that you want to give them the time to get healthier, get taller, especially if you're going to drive over them. That's another issue. If you're driving over them, it's better to get that bigger growth up, that stem a little thicker. So when they do lay over, they do bounce back up eventually in time. But the chemical is what I really worry about. I do not like spraying them small little seedlings with any kind of select herbicide until them plants get up at least 3 inches or taller. And I've had good luck with 3 inch. I usually try to wait a little bit more, but 3 inch, I've sprayed a lot of clover at 3 inches tall with a light dose. You never want to mix heavy. If you're looking at a plot that you got clover 3 inches tall and you got grasses that are 1.5 feet tall, and you're like, man, I'm going to put it to the max that I can on this chemical, you're probably going to smoke some clover just because it's so hot. Again, it's better to get in there, mow that tops of that grass off, then spray it with a lighter dosage. So them fresh little plants, you can kill them if you don't watch it. So running them over, breaking them, twisting them off at the top of the ground, turning a 3-wheeler tire or 4-wheeler tire, it's going to look bad for a week, and then they're going to pop right back up because that root system has grown. They're going to grow right back again, even if you rip them off top of the ground, as long as you don't rip the root system out. where chemical getting on them small plants, it can stun them for a long time or kill them. So give them at least 3 to 4 inches of growth, and then you'll be good to go. Mark saying a lot of fawns being born right now. Should you walk your plots prior to mowing them and just not mow them, or just not mow them a few weeks? I'm the guy, if I would rather push fawns off the plot to get them mowed if they need mowed, just because I want the best out of my plots. So I will always walk a plot before I mow it. Now it's hard. You get into a big 3-4 acre plot. That's hard to do. If you can wait a little bit, then if it's not too bad, I would stay out of it. But the smaller plots that you can get in there and walk around, I've done it for years. I'll walk through them and make sure there's nothing in there, and just go ahead and mow. Just because I want the best out of my clovers, my alfalfa. But no, that's a very good point, Mark. I'd definitely recommend walking them, making sure nothing's in there, and get them mowed. But them taller, the bigger plots, it's very hard to walk an acre, 2-3 acre plot and be able to cover it very well. So I would definitely stay out of it if you can. If it's at the point where you have to mow or you're going to be flooded out for the next 3 weeks, you better figure out if there's anything in there and get them mowed. All right, we got any other questions on here, guys? Coming down to the wire here in a little bit. They'll be shutting us down here in about 12 minutes. Mark's asking about buckwheat standing. Mark, what I like doing with that buckwheat, I'll usually leave that until I get ready to plant my fall plots. It's coming back from your mix from last year. I just like leaving it. And buckwheat is very good for the soil. It's a soil builder. So I always just leave it. Now, getting tall like it is there, you can go in and mow it with no problem. You can knock it down and just let it continue growing, and give the deer something to eat on, and feeding your soil at the same time, and then come back in the fall and work it up, and go ahead and plant your next mix. Scott said he tried to put oats in on April 1st. The turkeys hammer it so hard he filled both those turkey tags. That's the way to do it, buddy. I like hearing that. All right, just kind of see what we got here, guys. Make sure I'm not missing somebody. All right. Mark asking, I'm still getting hitched. Yeah, she hadn't kicked me out yet. So, yeah, still getting married in August, bud. Just bought a new boat, so I think she still likes me. So, Hunter, I appreciate everything, man. Looks like you got your order. So, seen some pictures the other day. I will tell you what that mowing thing, though, guys, that he was talking about. When you're mowing the clovers like that, guys, we've heard it for years on, mow 8 inches tall, mow 6 inches tall. You need to mow your clover for what your clover is at. And what I mean there is on the height of your clover. With a trophy clover mix, with the right nutrients, pH of the soil, them plants can be 22 inches tall. So you can just top them plants. I like to always leave at least 4 to 5 inches off the ground if I want to mow it low. But all you need to do is top them plants. So that 22-inch tall plant, when you get done mowing, it might still be 18 inches tall. So don't think you have to go 8 inches or 6 inches or 9, whatever you're reading. Just take the tops off of it. But if you got some weed and grass control, drop it down some more. And like I said, but always make sure you're doing it when you do got moisture, where you're not going to burn them plants up. And don't go any more than 4 inches off the ground. Let's go, any less than 4 inches off the ground. Let's go 4 to 5 inches. Leave that much clover standing. It'll pretty much just be all stems, but it's just going to explode after that, especially if you're using the clover fuel on it. I like going in a couple days later and spraying my clover fuel right over top of it where I mowed, and it will just explode. So there's just a lot of little things out there that you can read that kind of throws people for a loop when got to mow my clover when it flowers, but you got to leave it 8 inches tall, but my clover is only 6 inches tall and it's flowered. So do I mow it or not? Yes, you need to take them tops off. So if your clover is only 5 inches tall and it's flowered, it's best to get in there and just take them tops, just a little bit of tops off of it. And then the next time it's time to mow, it's going to be a lot taller. So it's just pretty much, you're just grooming it to get it up to the height that it needs to be and continue going. So, but let's just make sure that we do have 4 to 5 inches standing at the lowest, and you'll be good. You can get it a little lower as long as you got moisture, but you're getting into the part there that you could burn the plot up. So I always try to say 4 to 5 inches. Catalogs. People ask about catalogs. Hunter and Doug. Yes, we can get you some more catalogs out. When we get off here tonight, I will throw an email to the corporate office, have them send you guys some more catalogs. Hunter's also, how often can you use clover fuel in the summer? I saw the bottle, it says twice. We recommend twice a year on the clover fuel and the Jolt. That's what we recommend when we test it. Now, the more that you use clover fuel, the more the plants are going to benefit. So if you want to spray it once a month, you want to spray it once every other week, anytime that you use the clover fuel on a legume plant, that plant is only going to benefit. Now, with the Jolt product that is nitrogen based for our annual mixes, you can use it more than twice a year, but I would not use it any more than once a month. I like doing an application once a month on it. You're going to get the best results out of it. But the clover fuel, you can spray it every other day if you want to, but we definitely recommend 2 sprayings a growing season. I hear you, Scott. They will probably want to take their boyfriends fishing too. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see about that. All right, let me see if we got anything else here before they're going to kick us off here in about 5 minutes. Dennis, I appreciate you being on here, bud. Thank you. I think I got you guys all here. Anything else, guys? We got any more? We'll be jumping back on here in a couple more weeks, and I'm actually couple more weeks, I'm going to be doing 4 giveaways that night. And you got to be on here to win. So there's going to be 4 giveaways. I'm not going to tell you when I'm going to do it. It might be one every 15 minutes. It might be all 4 of them at the very end of the show. You just don't know when I'm going to do it, but I want to do 4 giveaways. So Brian asked me to put anything on Barricade. Fertilizer wise, yes, the Jolt fertilizer is what I use on the Barricade. There is some select herbicides that you can use on Barricade, which Barricade is actually Sudan grass and 2 varieties of sorghum, big stock sorghum. There is select herbicides for sorghum. I will tell you they're very, very expensive, and you have to use them at the proper time in their growing season. If you are a week late or a week early, you'll smoke the plant. So with all my research talking to some sorghum farmers, they pretty much scared me more than they did help me. I'm like, I don't care about weeds and grasses growing up my sorghum anymore. I'm going to just make a nice weed-free bed, plant it. Whatever weeds and grasses grow up in it, it's just going to make it thicker. Because the product I know, a gallon jug of it's like $450, and you can smoke it real quick. I actually did some test spots. I planted some in test spots at the home farm. I got 2 of them correct because you go by the petals on the plant. I got 2 of them correct. It killed all the grasses and weeds out of it. Beautiful. I did one a week later, and it smoked every bit of the sorghum. So I highly recommend just let the weeds and grasses go, and it'd be fine. Absolutely, Mark. We got some good giveaways coming next week. Kevin, I appreciate it very much, man. Jeff, you too. Well, guys, we'll jump off here. If nobody else has anything else, we'll jump off here, and we'll jump on here in a couple of weeks. Like I said, we're going to do 4 giveaways. I will tell you right now, 2 of the giveaway packages, I shouldn't say packages. Let's just say 2 of the giveaways is going to be the same thing, but I'm going to have to send it to you in an email that is going to benefit you very well. Let's just put it that way. It'll benefit you by me sending you this email. So let's see what we can do here. We'll get her going, and we'll make you happy and save you some money at the same time. Let's just put it that way. So you guys have a good night. We'll talk to you here in a couple of weeks. You need anything, get a hold of me. My phone's always on. Take care. Bye.